Hi friends. So last time we were together, we read a book about Roy Lichtenstein, and in that we talked a lot about how he did a lot of things based on comic books, right? So the biggest thing is comic books used to have these really cool things that were like bam, boom, pow, wow, that kind of stuff, right? And they had these kind of cool, very dotted styles with big, bold lines. And so we're gonna try to recreate that today. Really, oh, excuse me. Really making sure that we have these big kind of bold things. So the very first thing is we're gonna draw in big bubble letters a word. And this is gonna be a nice word. It's not gonna be a silly word. So bam, boom, pow, wow. Those are all really good options, right? So I'm gonna just say wow for this one. Now, the thing about bubble letters is they're kind of just doubling what we've already had. So I'm gonna write wow, right? Like I usually would. Wow. There we go. I can kind of move that to the center. And then I have my exclamation point here. Now I'm gonna make the exclamation point a circle there. And then all I'm just doing is I'm kind of making it look like a rectangle for that. And that's just what that's going to be. So now with the wow, all I'm gonna do is I'm going to make a smaller W kind of right next to that. And I'm just gonna connect the two. Same thing over here, smaller W, and connect the two, all right? The O is gonna be the easiest. Look, just circle an O in there. If you do pow like I did here, right? You make your P, right? So I have a P. And what I did after that is I just kind of doubled it. So for this, I'll do it on this side. So I have a P, right? And what I'm doing is I'm gonna go around it this time. So I'm gonna have a line there. I'm gonna go around for this side. And then it's just like that, right? It's just as if you're kind of adding that to it. If you do a B, it's kind of the same thing, right? I got my B, adding that, adding the B bubbles, and that's it, okay? It's just a matter of practice, okay? So now that I have that, I gotta make these kind of like star effects. So the cool thing is a lot of it is just kind of zigzags. Gonna go back and forth with a zigzag here, back and forth with my zigzag. You're gonna notice that it's gonna go out of frame here for a little bit just because I have big paper compared to my small screen. And now we're just gonna add another zigzag on top of that. So I have another zigzag, just kind of doubling what I did before, right? And that's all it is, just kind of what bubble letters and this kind of project is. Just kind of doubling what we've already made, right? And now that we have that, we're gonna add a star to it. Now you can have your star be whatever you like, and it's gonna overlap something, which means that it's gonna go over on top of something. So I'm gonna put a star maybe right here in this corner. And I usually draw my stars like this, but if you have a different way that you draw your stars, that's okay. Now you're gonna notice that there's lots of lines where the star should be. I want the star to be on top, so I'm going to erase the lines and to show that the star is on top and that everything else is underneath the star. So it's kind of like when you put something on top of another thing, they are now overlapping. That's what overlapping means, okay? So now I want another star. Maybe I'll put it right over here too, so we'll have a star like this. And I'll have lots of things that I'll have to erase here too. So I gotta erase my W here. I gotta erase this part of the zigzags, right? And then I have to erase this part here too. So that's what I have. So I got my wow, I got my stars, I got the zigzag. That's all I'd want for now, okay? This is all that you're focusing on today. Your big word, right, that are in bubble letters with an exclamation point, your zigzags that are doubled around the word, and then you have your stars. And you can draw your stars however you like, as long as you make sure that they are overlapping whatever you made, right? So That's a matter of erasing what's behind the stars, all right? And that's where we're ending up today. Make sure that you can do this with pencil or paper, or you can put it on Seesaw. All right, see you all soon. Bye, friends. All right, friends, so today we're tracing. So with tracing, I want you to get a black marker. It doesn't have to be a Sharpie, it could just be a regular black marker. And I'm just tracing everything that I've made. And I'm gonna trace it with the black marker. I'm going over all of my lettering. I'm going over my stars. I'm going over my zigzags too. So I'm gonna make sure that everything is traced over with my Sharpie. And since I don't want you guys to be sitting here just watching me trace over everything, I just want you to make sure that when it comes to these stars, just to make sure that all of your eraser marks are really erased so that you know exactly which one to trace over. Otherwise, what happens, friends, is we can accidentally make a mistake, and we'll just have to figure out how to do a happy accident with it. All right? So tracing might take a little while because you're just going over everything you draw. Sometimes, though, it can be really quick because you know exactly what we're doing, right? Just taking your time, that's all it is. And wow, look at that, I'm already done. And that's all we're doing today. We're just tracing over what we've already made, okay? And I hope that you guys have fun with this. Make sure you're using a marker. If you're using Seesaw, that's totally okay too. And I hope to see you all soon. Bye, friends. All right, it is coloring day. Now, if you look at these 3 markers I have here, what's all in common? They are primary colors. We learned about this in 1st grade, and primary colors are the ones that we mix together in order to make secondary colors. Primary colors were actually a huge part of comic books because they all kind of popped out when compared to one another. Black is just a really nice color. It's neutral, which just means that it blends in and makes sure things that pop out against one another. And that's why we used it for all of our tracing. So today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on coloring in my things. Now, one thing that we're not gonna do is we're not gonna color in our lettering. What we're gonna do instead is we're gonna use dots. One cool thing that our awesome comic book had is that they used big dots in order for us to kind of see, a really cool different kind of side. Now, I'm not talking about dots like pointillism where George Strait, just did a ton of little dots in order to fill everything up. I'm talking about big dots, right? So I'm taking my time, and do you see how I'm spacing them out, right? But I'm also not, leaving too much white room in between. I'm making sure that all of them are gonna be nicely colored in, and that, I'm not just like being silly and not just placing them willy-nilly, right? I'm making sure that where I put them is purposeful, which means that I'm going to make sure that I do everything with purpose, right? I'm not just being crazy and silly with this. So do you see how already the word wow is kind of just popping out at us? Just because we have these cool dots, right? And so now that I have these dots, I'm gonna also tell you that the background itself, right? So behind the zigzags, behind the stars, behind the wow and everything, that is going to be our dots as well. So you can use any color for these dots, and same thing for this too. You're just gonna make sure that you use these colors, okay? So I'm deciding that I'm gonna do my background black. So I'm just gonna have those black dots for that, right? Making sure that they're purposeful, going about. If you wanted to make a dotted line with these thick dots, I think that would be really helpful because you would know exactly where you wanna put your dots, right? And that way you don't have too many dots, and that way you don't have too little dots, right? making sure that you have all these dots going up and down, right? So I'm gonna not take up so much of your time doing all my dots, but now this is when I get to color in everything using just our great craftsmanship, right? So I'm just gonna color in my background here, making sure that all of it is filled in. I don't have any white spaces, right? And I'm gonna go back and forth, make sure that I color in all of this space right here. And then I'm not gonna color in all of this just for you guys because I don't want you guys to be staring at me all day, right? But maybe for the star, I'll have them be yellow, right? And remember, if you're mixing black and yellow, sometimes the marker can get a little gross. So just be really careful on the edges of these black. And I can even do for the zigzag too, making sure that I have really nice choice, right? So remember, the colors are gonna be primary colors. You can use black as just like an extra little bam to it. And you can have all of it colored in. The only parts I don't want them to be as colored in is going to be your background and then your word. And remember, these dots have to be purposeful, right? We're not being willy-nilly about them. We're not using pointillism, right? We're doing a special technique that's shown in comic books, right? And I also want you to remember that this is the only place that I want to be able to accept white space. All of this, right, that we colored in and did that part, that we're not using white space. If I see yours look like this at the end, I'm gonna be upset, right? It should look like this at the end, all right? So I hope you guys are doing well today. I hope I see this all on Seesaw. Make sure you use markers, otherwise you can use the Seesaw account. And if you do the Seesaw account, make sure you use primary colors. Same thing if you're using markers. Primary colors, I want to see them. All right, I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope I get to see you all soon. And I hope you're having a good day. Bye, friends.